Good afternoon, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen watching around the world. On behalf of Lieutenant Commander Samuel Moffett, Commanding Officer, USS Ardent, I welcome you to the decommissioning ceremony of USS Ardent. In naval tradition, a plank owner is an individual who was a member of the crew when the ship was originally placed in commission. The origin of the term is the implication that a crew member was around when the ship was being built and commissioned, and therefore has rights of the ownership of one of the wooden plaques that are used to compromise the ship's main decks. Today, this crew become plank preservers. Much work has been put into Ardent to continue her service. However, in the realization of her parts and equipment throughout the fleet, the ship will be decommissioning. Ladies and gentlemen, although the plank preservers are unable to join us today, please take a minute to honor their proud service with a round of applause. At this time, the commanding officer of the USS Ardent will introduce our guest speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce Rear Admiral Philip Sobek, a surface warfare officer with over 35 years' experience. His operational tours include USS Hawes, USS Gonzales, USS McFall, Destroyer Squadron 50, and the first combined United States and United Kingdom Destroyer Squadron embarked on USS Harry S. Truman. He commanded USS Avenger, USS Ardent, USS Farragut, and Destroyer Squadron 50, Task Force 55. As a flag officer, he was previously the Director, 21st Century Sailor Office, and is currently Commander, Expeditionary Strike Group 3. He has been forward deployed an amazing 9 times, participating in a multitude of joint and combined operations. Ladies and gentlemen, Rear Admiral Sobek.
Okay, thank you, Captain. I will ensure that I am out of range here, but I wanted to at least address you today. What an amazing day it is. And I wanted to first recognize the First Ladies of Ardent, Kristen, Clara, and Greenlee. Welcome today, and I'm glad you could be here, representing all those wonderful families that have sailed with USS Ardent. And so, Captain, thanks so much for that kind introduction. Commodore, great to see you. What an honor it is to be with you today, both in person and in virtually. COVID has certainly brought us challenges as we navigate together through this challenging time and to the end. It's events like these, though, that bring normal into focus as we celebrate over 27 years of service to those who have served USS Ardent so well. It is the life of a ship and all that has served in her that connects us, even in these unusual times. But a special thank you to the officers and crew and families of USS Ardent, all those port engineers, all those maintainers, all those support networks that have kept USS Ardent alive for 27 years. And most importantly, all those minemen that have gone before us who have led the way so others may follow. So what an honor it is as a Ardent sailor to represent over 750 sailors. Notwithstanding the most senior of us, Admiral Chris Grady at Fleet Forces Command, as SOPA for Ardent. All who have sailed this fine warship, and as you already heard, I had the privilege of commanding her. She sailed in CENTCOM waters and representing the best of our Navy and our nation and keeping sea lanes open in the Arabian Gulf. So today is a bucket list moment for me, so I thank you. Ardent means fervent, passionate, intensely devoted. The name conjures images of courage, devotion, and patriotism. There's a long history in naval service. Dating back to 1764, a British Navy registered 8 times ship as the namesake Ardent. In the U.S., the first USS Ardent SP-680 saw service during World War I. The second USS Ardent AM-340 during World War II, earning 4 battle stars for exceptional service. The third ship to bear a name, USS Ardent MCM-12, lays behind us. And she's continued to live up to that name as she did in the dangerous job of clearing the sea lanes of mines so other ships can navigate freely. As a pre-commissioning unit, Ardent was set sail during a ceremony at Peterson Builders and Shipyard in 1991. The ship sponsor was Mrs. Sue N. Thompson, wife of Tommy Thompson, governor of Wisconsin at that time. In 1993, Ardent was underway for the first time to conduct builders trials and acceptance trials, and was delivered to the U.S. Navy without a ceremony at City Dock, Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. Again, Ardent goes without signal into harm's way. Later that year, Ardent arrived in its home port of Naval Station Ingleside, Texas, after a 46-day transit from Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. The 12th of the Avenger-class mine and countermeasure ships, the Ardent was commissioned on February 18, 1994. After Ardent forward deployed to the Persian Gulf in 1996, she participated in any submarine warfare readiness and evaluation measurement exercises and conducted sea trials in 1997. In 1998, while underway in the North Arabian Gulf, Ardent received emergent tasking to assist USNS Catawba in locating and recovering an F-18 Charlie that crashed in the North Arabian Gulf. Later that year, she supported Operation Desert Fox and conducted operations inside Iraqi territory waters in Mine Danger Area Number 10. In 2000, Ardent emergency sortied from Mina Salman port in the wake of USS Cole bombing in Port of Aden, Yemen. In addition to conducting routine training operations in 2001, Ardent supported the world's largest mine countermeasure exercise in the Arabian Gulf, called Arabian Gauntlet 01. I had the pleasure of taking command of her in 2004, and she was ready for tasking. During my time as commanding officer in 2006, while conducting maritime security operations in the Arabian Gulf, Ardent responded to a distress call by an Iraqi-owned commercial vessel, Gulf Queen. We remained on station for 3 days, providing support until the owner of the vessel could arrange proper transport. I remember those days and those nights very fondly, in a way that as we had surprise visitors from Iran to come and take a look at what we were doing and what we were all about, Ardent was ready for anything to happen. And this is where I'd like to pause and think about those shipmates with me. And one absolutely stands out amongst the rest, and that's HTC Rick Kroom. He was a plank owner of USS Ardent. He's the one that made the design of the crest of USS Ardent and got it approved. And he's the one that really came behind us and made us truly believe that USS Ardent was something special. To this day, I remember how he would always be leading the way as a chief, teaching those before him, teaching those around him, and then leading up to me as a commanding officer. So, Chief, thanks for what you do, buddy. Although my time on Ardent came to an end, she continued to serve our nation for many years to come. In 2011, Ardent and the USS Scout, along with several British, French, and other ships of standing NATO mine countermeasures group, participated in a multi-mine countermeasure exercise in the Arabian Gulf, IMCMX. Ardent eventually shipped to home ports, and in 2013, she began making her way to her new home port in San Diego. A few years later, Ardent would participate in the largest maritime exercise in the world, Rim of the Pacific 2018. So as we remember and celebrate the history and achievements of Ardent, let's not forget none of these could have happened without those who have sailed on her. Ardent sailors have dedicated themselves to ensuring their ship fulfilled her mission, playing an important role in the defense of our nation and maritime freedom. Amongst all those crew members, those who stand behind them in support and their families, the many crew swaps, the many deployments, many no-notice transitions to sea, the countless number of times we took all the magnetic material off board this ship, stowed it, restowed it, put it back on, took it back off, in order for others to go into harm's way. These sailors and families are dedicated professionals. They will continue to remain focused on accomplishing their missions, and I have no doubt the crew possesses the qualifications and certifications to continue to perform their jobs as they move to the new duty stations. Again, Ardent never dies. So to the families and crew of Ardent, both present and past, Thanks, shipmates. 27 years afloat, making that ship who she is. I couldn't be more proud to stand before you on our final day. So there's been a tremendous amount of work and time put into the lifespan of this ship during her time in naval service. As this chapter comes to an end, as we know, names come back when they're most important. I have no doubt that Ardent will be named again. To our plank owners, to all the sailors who brought her to life, and those who ensured she remained mission ready to this day, join together to recall manning the decks of this warship. The decommissioning of this ship is a normal process in its lifespan, but never forgotten. So shipmates, I thank you for the opportunity to speak before you, behalf of you, and to represent you. And thank you to Captain again for this beautiful warship and for your crew in honoring me today and be able to close out this chapter of naval history. I am humbled and personally gratified that this opportunity exists for all of us to understand, even during this COVID. Fair winds and following seas, Ardent.
Thank you for those kind words, Admiral Sobek. Will the audience please rise for the presentation of Lieutenant Commander Moffitt's Ender 2 Award? The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Meritorious Service Medal to Lieutenant Commander Samuel A. Moffitt for service set forth in the following. For outstanding meritorious service while serving as commanding officer and executive officer of USS Ardent from November 2017 to August 2020. Lieutenant Commander Moffitt created an exemplary command culture and a top-performing crew that embraced Navy core values and sound shipboard operating principles. His leadership ensured Ardent was the only Third Fleet mine countermeasure asset to achieve deployment certification. Additionally, he safely sailed Ardent over 10,000 nautical miles throughout the Third Fleet area of responsibility to support Rim of Pacific 2018, security operation port visits in Mexico, and a successful Northern Command priority mission to conduct vital hydrographic surveys. During 31 days at sea, Ardent safely navigated through restricted waters and surveyed 208 nautical miles in support of theater ballistic missile defense patrols. Lieutenant Commander Moffitt's exceptional professionalism, personal initiative, and loyal devotion to duty reflected a great credit on him and were in keeping with the highest tradition of the United States Naval Service. For the President, R.A. Brown, Vice Admiral, United States Navy, Commander, Naval Surface Forces, U.S. Pacific Fleet. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commanding Officer, USS Ardent, Lieutenant Commander Samuel Moffitt.
Ladies and gentlemen watching around the world, welcome. Over the last few weeks, I've been thinking of what I might say the best way to bid farewell to a ship that has been in service for more than 27 years. I could talk about how Ardent was born on a cold February morning in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, built of Douglas fir and live oak. She was the 12th ship of her class and the third to carry the name Ardent. I could talk about the proud, often unseen roles that minesweepers play in today's fast-paced world of Navy warfare. But I'm not going to give that speech today. When Ardent was commissioned, Ms. Thompson, the ship's sponsor, directed the crew to bring the ship to life. After those important words were spoken, the crew ran up the prow and manned the rails, metaphorically bringing the ship to life. After all, Ardent is just wood, epoxy, and various other materials, not intrinsically alive. It takes a crew to give her life, a crew of hardworking United States Navy sailors, and they are the ones that deserve to be recognized today. Thousands of sailors called Ardent home, from the engineers who worked tirelessly in the heat of the engine room, providing power and water, breathing literal life into the ship, to the minemen who have truly become the jack of all trades throughout the fleet, filling vital roles that bosun mates, operational specialists, and gunners mates fill on other ships. This speech is for the culinary specialists, and the logistics specialists who provide countless hot meals and the necessary parts to keep the crew and the ship fed. This speech is for the chiefs that have provided tens of thousands of hours training, mentorship, and discipline for the crew. While they might not be the actual keel of the ship, they've been the backbone of the various crews that have inhabited Ardent over the last quarter century. This speech is for the officers who have stood years of bridge watch, keeping Ardent and her crew safe, ensuring that the greatest treasure of America, the sons and daughters who call her home, are returned safely back to their families, who waited months and in some cases years for their return. For those wives and husbands, sons, daughters, fathers, and mothers who waited patiently for their loved ones to return, this speech is for you. You should be proud of the accomplishments that your loved ones have achieved during their time on board. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my own family. Both my parents and my in-laws have played an indispensable role in supporting my career. From school through 8 military moves, it has truly taken a village to get me to and through this tour. Mom, Dad, Ellen, and Daryl, thank you. To my daughters, Clara and Greenlee, I know there have been plenty of days when I was gone before you were awake and home before you were asleep. I look forward to spending more time at home over the next few years. And to my wife, Kristen, you are the rock that our family stands upon, constant, unshaken. Regardless of what I throw your way, you just smile and figure out what needs to be done. You keep me grounded and have more faith in my abilities than I do. I love you and look forward to many more adventures. To my crew, plain and simple, y'all are rock stars, the best. Participating in minesweeping and hunting exercises off the coast of Southern California, this crew demonstrated that Ardent still possessed the tenacity needed to accomplish any mission. Shortly before I assumed command in March, I was informed that Ardent was tasked to complete hydrographic surveys in support of theater ballistic missile defense patrols, hoping to ensure critical waterways remained open. This crew planned and executed Ardent's first patrol in a decade, during which time she steamed over 5,000 nautical miles from Victoria, British Columbia to Port of Aden, Mexico, conducted 260 total nautical miles of restricted water oceanographic surveys during 31 days of continuous restricted water operations. The crew flawlessly conducted 31 sea and anchor details, 2 refuelings, and returned to San Diego, in my humble, completely unbiased opinion, the most capable mine countermeasure crew in the Navy. While the numbers are impressive, they pale in comparison to the dedication that this crew exhibited day in and day out. I would like to close with a quick sea story to demonstrate how proud I am of this crew. It was a great day in the Pacific Northwest conducting hydrographic surveys in the Hood Canal during Ardent's 2019 patrol. It was smooth sailing until disaster struck, literally. Ardent's towed side-scan sonar struck an uncharted underwater obstruction. Emergency recovery was passed over the 1MC and the crew sprung into action, executing the pre-planned responses necessary to recover the gear. MN3 Batista took control of the winch, Senior Chief Ortner conducted the safety brief, MN2 Villegas fired up the crane, and MN3 Chatham and MN2 Mazakis assumed their positions as line handlers. Once on deck, it was apparent that the gear was going to require considerable repairs. Chief Petty Officer Lindvold, McAndrews, and Senior Chief Ortner began breaking down the sonar. ET1 Phillips, ET2 Ewell, and ITC Ebright troubleshot the umbilical connection, and the repairs took a considerable amount of time, and CS1 Coleman and his galley team ensured hot plates were on station. While all of this was happened, QMC's Powell's bridge team and Ensign Skyberg combat team kept the ship on track, maintaining safety of navigation. An engineering department was on watch, keeping fires lit and screws turning. This was by far my lowest day in command. Ardent was underway, on mission, and our primary sensor was out of commission. On the bridge, my mind was racing, playing out the worst-case scenarios at a mile a minute. Lieutenant Commander Golden, the XO at the time, came up to relieve me so I could take a look at how the repairs were going down the fantail. When I walked down and saw every single raid on board helping to repair our sonar, with some motivation by Command Senior Chief Torres, as always, it lifted my spirits, instantly transforming my worst day to my best. It is this crew that truly showed me what it means to be Iron Men on wooden ships. More than anyone else, this speech and ceremony are for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. An ensign is the name given to an American flag which is flown on every commissioned warship's mast. The United Nations Law of the Sea Convention and previous treaties and codifications of customary international law lay down 3 criteria for a vessel to be considered a warship. It must be commanded by a commissioned officer. Traditionally, the officer had to be in physical possession of his commissioning document. Later, this was superseded by the requirement that his name appear in a published register of such officers and signified by the flying of a commissioning pennant. The crew must be under military discipline. This specifically rules out merchant ships commanded by reserve officers with a crew of civilian mariners, as they typically do not have the armament and would be unable to defend themselves during an attack at sea. It must bear the distinguishing marks of warships of its nationality. In the United States Navy, these distinguishing marks are the commissioning pennant of an officer eligible to command at sea and an ensign. Captain, all spacers are secured about the decks. The running lights have been extinguished, the cannonballs have been removed, and the cannon has been spiked. The shafts have been locked, all valves closed, and the sea chest secured. The tiller has been locked amidships, all rations have been commuted, and the galley fires doused. Sir, the ship is ready for decommissioning. Aye, sir. Officer deck, secure the watch. The commissioning pennant is a distinguished mark of a commissioned naval warship. A commissioning pennant is a long streamer in some version of the national colors of the Navy that flies it. The American pennant is blue at the hoist, bearing 7 white stars. The rest of the pennant consists of single longitudinal stripes of red and white. The pennant is flown at all times as long as the ship is in commission status. Following naval traditions and custom, the Command Senior Chief Mark Torres will present the final commissioning pennant flown on USS Ardent to Commanding Officer Lieutenant Commander Samuel Moffett.
Commodore, the watch has been secured, colors hauled down, and the crew disembarked. USS Ardent is decommissioned.
Job well done, Captain. Very well.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the decommissioning of USS Ardent.